In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, we will start reviewing the national exam for year 2010, the first session. As you can see, this is for a human science stream, مسلك العلوم الإنسانية. The coefficient 3, timing 3 hours. على بركة الله. Here we go. So the reading and comprehension text is very important in the national exam. We have to know how to deal with it. We have to read paragraphs quickly, to know the main ideas of each paragraph, and then we go to see if there are any pictures so that we can have a general idea of the text. The picture we have here in the text, we see a young man in front of the screen chatting or playing video games. So here it gives us an idea about the text. We can say it's about computing or about internet or something related to technology. Now let's read the text and explain difficult vocabulary. I was walking around on a Saturday afternoon. It was cold and it was starting to rain. I was looking for a restaurant or a cafe where I could sit and have something to drink. When I saw one, it means I saw a restaurant, I crossed the street and I was there. I sat at a round table and asked for a cup of coffee. While I was waiting for my order, I realized that there were other people in the place. But I sensed loneliness. بحاجة نقول هنا أحس بالوحدة. I saw their bodies, but I couldn't feel their souls. That was because their souls didn't belong to them. Instead, they belonged to the internet. I stood up and walked between the tables. When I came to the biggest computer, I saw a thin, small man sitting in front of it. I'm Steve, he finally answered after I had asked him a couple of times what his name was. I can't talk with you, I'm busy, he said. I thought he was working and I apologized. He didn't say anything before going back to my seat. I wanted to see what he was doing. I stood behind him. He was not working. He was chatting online with somebody, probably someone he didn't know, and at the same time, he was playing a computer game, a war game. I was astonished. Why didn't Steve want to talk to me? I tried again to communicate with the computer geek, but not a word came out of his mouth. I touched his shoulder, but there was no reaction. I was getting upset. I put my hand in front of the monitor and he started shouting. Shouting بحال تنقولو بدا كيغوت. Leave me alone. I took a few steps back. I was ashamed. بحال أكون أحس بالخجل. I wanted to look and see if all those people in the cafe were looking at me. So I raised my head, but there was nobody interested in what was happening. I walked back to my table and I noticed everybody was using a computer. At that moment, I realized that people in that place were having a cup of coffee and a nice conversation with their machines, not with people. All of them were more interested in having a relationship with the computer, particularly Steve. I wouldn't want to imagine the future of human beings if they prefer sharing their lives with machines instead of people. I was worried and I sank in my thoughts. I didn't even realize that the coffee was bad, just as Steve didn't even realize that there was a person next to him. Now let's move to comprehension questions. Choose the best title for the passage. Tick the appropriate box. So here we have computer games, computer programming, computer addiction. So which one is the correct one? From the text we know that Steve was really addicted to this machine or to the internet. So which means we are going to drop the first two ones and we keep the last one, which is computer addiction. So the best title for the passage is computer addiction. B, question B. Are these sentences true or false? Justify. So if the statement is true, we have to give justification. If it's false, we have to give a justification as well. Some students, they think that if it's true, we just say true and we don't give a justification, but this is totally wrong. You have to justify your answer. How did you know that the statement is true? And how did you know that it was false? So the first one, the writer went to a cafe on a sunny day. Is it true or false? So it's false, because in the text, it was cold and it was raining. It was not sunny. Number two, Steve answered the writer's question immediately. Was it true or false? It's false. Why? So here we give a justification. He finally answered after I had asked him a couple of times what his name was. 3. The people in the cafe didn't care about what was going on between Steve and the writer. Is it true or false? So, it is true. Why? Because in the text we have this statement. There was nobody interested in what was happening. Answer these questions. You have WH questions. 1. Why did the writer apologize? He apologized because he thought he was working. Or we can also say since. Since and because are synonyms. 2. What was Steve busy doing? What was he busy doing? From the text, when we go back to the text, we find Steve was chatting and playing a game at the same time. 3. Why did Steve start shouting? He started shouting because the writer put his hand in front of the monitor. The monitor means the screen. C'est l'écran. Activity D. Complete these sentences. You have 3 points. The writer felt lonely in the cafe, although, so here we have although concession. The writer felt lonely in the cafe, although, here we have, if we want to replace although, we can say even though, even if. So this adverb expresses concession. So, what is the answer? The writer felt lonely in the cafe, although there were people in the other place. Number 2, when the writer saw that Steve was too busy, he wanted to, we will complete the sentence here from the text, he wanted to see what he was doing. Number 3, the writer can't imagine a future where people share their lives with machines. So here we have the answers for exercise D, sentence completion. The next activity is about word reference. What do the underlined words in the text refer to? Here we have they. It refers to what? Of course, we have to go back to the text. You can download it from the internet, or you can just print your screen. There are so many possibilities you can do in order to have the text in front of your eyes, and you can read and answer the questions. Then you go back to my video to see the answers. So for the first one, they, it refers to souls. Souls, هي الأرواح ديالهم. Number 2, machines refers to, the word machines refers to computers. Exercise F, find words in the text that mean the same as. We have surprised in paragraph 2 and computer screen in paragraph 3. So for surprise, we are going to search for the right equivalent. I mean synonym. The synonymous word for surprise. In paragraph 2, we have astonished. And for the second one, computer screen, we have in paragraph 3, monitor. So don't waste your time. I will tell you something about how to deal with this exercise. they mention paragraph 2, go immediately to paragraph 2 and read it. For the second one, I want you to go immediately to paragraph 3 and you read it and try to find the word there, the synonymous word for computer screen or whatever you are given. Now, let's move to part 2, language. In this language section, you will find vocabulary, functions, communication, and also grammar. So this section is very important because it includes very important exercises that that you have covered with your teachers at school. The first one, so the first activity is connected with phrasal verbs. The first one is setup. Setup means to create, come back, return, calm down, look up. Look up, it means to search in a dictionary. Fill in, it means to complete, and apply for, it means you ask or you request a job. Okay, I need to space this application form. Application form, it's like when we say c'est un formulaire, استمارة كتعمرها. It means I need to fill in this application form. I want a visa to Canada. It means I want to request a visa to Canada. So what is the right phrasal verb here? The right phrasal verb is apply for a visa to Canada. I'm going to study management there and hope to a new business. Ça veut dire مشروع تجاري. So create a new business. The right phrasal verb is the first one, set up a new business. When I to Morocco, of course, to go back or to come back to Morocco is the second phrasal verb. Activity B, put the verbs in brackets in the correct tense or form. You have 3 points. Bob and David enjoy science fiction films. From this sentence, we can say that they like science fiction movies or films. It's something they know. Maybe they do it on a daily basis. Maybe they watch movies from time to time or every weekend. So this is something connected with everyday routines or everyday life. So we can say here, Bob and David enjoy watching. Enjoy watching. So this is present simple. Enjoy watching science fiction films. Yesterday, they to the cinema, but when they arrived, so here we have simple past, they arrived, they found that the film already started, so they decided to have a walk along the coast. So when we go back to these sentences, we have to search for the keywords. So we have yesterday, okay, so we are going to talk about past simple or past continuous or past perfect. So we have, but when they arrived, so we have to put a verb in the simple past. Went, we have go, it becomes went. They go, they went to the cinema, but when they arrived, they found that the film had already started. We use the past perfect when we talk about two actions in the past. The one that precedes is put in the past perfect and the one that comes after is put in the simple past. So they decided to have a walk along the coast. Okay, exercise C. Join the pairs of sentences with the words between brackets. Jamal spent all the afternoon chatting. He didn't have time to do his homework. You are going to rewrite these sentences with the words between parentheses. We have because it expresses cause. So here we have to put because in the right place. Jamal didn't have time to do his homework because he spent all the afternoon chatting. So in this sentence expresses cause. Second one, my friends decided to go on an excursion to the Atlas Mountains. They might face difficulties. You have to rewrite this sentence using the adverb of concession despite. Despite بحيث نقولوا احنا رغم أن ولا بالرغم même si. Despite facing difficulties. So despite we use it plus a noun or a gerund. So here we have facing. Difficulties, my friends decided to go on an excursion to the Atlas Mountains. Exercise D. Rewrite the sentences beginning with the words given. So you have to pay careful attention to this exercise because you should know how to deal with each of these sentences. So the first one, what a pity, I didn't send them the message on time. If only. So in the given sentence we have didn't send. Pay attention to the tense. Here you have simple past, so you are going to express wishes in the past, because if only we can replace it with I wish plus past perfect. So what is the answer? I wish I had sent them the message on time. Number 2, why don't you eat more vegetables and fruit? The doctor said. The doctor advised the patient. So here we have reported speech. When we have reported speech with verb advise, or when we give orders, we put just the verb in the infinitive. So the doctor advised the patient to eat more vegetables and fruit. Because when he said, why don't you eat more vegetables and fruit? So it was a suggestion. So the doctor advised the patient to eat more vegetables and fruit. Number 3, you must send your application before the end of March. Your application. So you must send what? So here we have active voice, passive voice. The first sentence is in the active voice. What we have to do is to transform the sentence into the passive voice. So your application must be sent, modal verb must plus verb to be plus simple past participle of verb send, must be sent before the end of March. Number 4, I don't have a modem, so I can't have access to the internet. You have if. So here we are talking about conditional, but what type of conditional? I don't have a modem, so I can't have access to the internet. So the sentence is in the present. So I have to talk about, I have to make a hypothesis here. So with what type of conditional am I going to use? We are going to use conditional type 2, because we imagine the opposite situation. We are going to imagine the opposite situation. If I had a modem, I could have access to the internet. So this is the right answer. So exercise E, give the correct form of the word between brackets. Active, citizen, involve, participate, contribution. So I have to give the correct form of these words. So active citizenship can be defined. إذا citizenship هي المواطنة. Citizen هو المواطن. Defined هو تعريف can be defined as the involvement of citizens, مشاركة المواطنين في الحياة العامة, of citizens in public life through their participation in the community's project, مشاريع اللي كتخص الجماعة الناس اللي كيعيشوا فيها. We have contribution that can contribute to the improvement of people's living conditions. إذا هاد المشاريع هادو ديال الجماعة ديال هاد الجماعة الناس ولا ديال هاد المشاريع اللي هما جمعوية، مشاريع اللي كتنهض اللي كتساهم في التقدم ديال البلاد، can contribute to the improvement of people's living conditions. improvement هي تحسين ظروف الحياة ديال المواطنين. Exercise F. Match the expressions with their appropriate functions. You'd better do some exercises in the workbook. Could you close the window, please? So here we have statements. Well, we have to match them with the appropriate function. So we have requesting, تنقوموا بطلب، تنطلبوا من شي واحد يدير لنا شي حاجة. apologizing اعتذار. suggesting to suggest something، اقتراح proposition. So you'd better do some exercise in the workbook. you'd better إذن هذا هنايا شنو عندنا؟ it's a suggestion. you'd better do some exercises in the workbook. Number 2, could you close the window please؟ إذن هذا طلب من شي واحد كنسميه requesting. ولا could you please هو كنطلبوا we ask a polite request. we make a polite request. The last section is writing. So the majority of students, they fear or they are afraid of this section. تخافوا من هذا الرايتين. But they give you a lot of cues. So you shouldn't be afraid of this exercise. I'm going to help you here. So in the exercise you have write an email to your friend describing the best place you have ever visited. إذا غادي تكتب واحد الإيميل للصديق ديالك توصف ليه هاد البلاصة اللي مشيتي ليها وما عمرك شفتي بحالها وكتعجبك بزاف. إذا هنايا عندك here are some cues to help you. إذا what is the name of the place? For example, you can choose Marrakesh. Time of the visit واش هاد الأسبوع ولا الويكاند اللي فات ولا holiday. إذا هنايا عندك اختيارات. Characteristic كيفاش داير هاد مراكش attractive, nice, interesting, modern, traditional. توصف هاد المدينة. Your feeling كيفاش حسيتي باش كنتي تما. Okay, now let's give an example. As you can see on the slide, the address email you have here, Morad, subject, the best place I have ever visited. So in the first line, you put the address email of the receiver. In the second line, you put the subject. The subject is very important because it draws the reader's attention. Okay, greeting. Let's start with greeting. Dear Morad, how are you, my friend? We haven't talked for a while. I hope you are doing well. Last weekend, my family and I went to Marrakesh. It is an attractive city with a beautiful red color. We visited the old Medina. We saw amazing things like traditional clothes as well as bazaars, where we bought some souvenirs. We spent great time there. We took pictures together. In جمع الفنا, you can listen to storytellers or take pictures with snake charmers. We had much fun and felt very happy. What about you? Where did you go? I'm waiting for your reply. Bye, Badr. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to get more videos on national exams and their correction. Goodbye.